Hey guys, thanks for joining in. Today we're going to be talking about warning signs and symptoms of addiction, specifically alcohol, but it doesn't necessarily have to relate to alcohol. The criteria for any any dependence, according to the DSM-5, has specific criteria that has to be met, and 3 out of the 5 criteria, if you fall into those categories, you might want to look out and be careful. Uh, I'm going to list these here. This should be listed up on the screen shortly. But let's start with the first classical one, is increase in tolerance. Many times in the progression, and it pretty much is a curve, a downward spiral. In the progression of alcohol addiction, you don't necessarily have to have crossed the point where you're physically dependent to have problems with alcohol. What I mean, well, you can have a behavioral dependence or practice behaviors in your alcoholism that's just not without a physiological dependence on alcohol or another substance. So, what are some of the warning signs? Well, they start with one, increased tolerance to the substance. It doesn't matter if it's drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever it is you're doing. One of the first hallmark questions that you're going to ask yourself is, do I have an increased tolerance to this particular thing? Was I was like drinking maybe a fifth a week, for a good example. Now all of a sudden I notice I'm drinking a fifth every day or every other day to get me to where I was before. Or I'm using a line of cocaine. Well, I started out doing a 50 sheet or 100. Now, that ain't doing it no more. I gotta get an 8-ball. I gotta have 2 8-balls. So, an increase in tolerance. Same with gambling, same thing. More and more and more. Well, I go back to the ATM. I'll hit in a moment. Okay, I mean, I realize I spent $100 here just 2 minutes, and I'm gonna go get another 100 and recover that and more. Increase in tolerance in the behavior. That's the first thing that we want to look for, that the DSM-5 outlines. Increase or decrease, actually. The decrease in tolerance is specifically related to where a person crosses over the apex and starts on the downward spiral of that progression. The decrease is actually probably more severe, and it signifies the latter stages of the development of the addiction and the cycle. So let's look at what's number 2. Can you go to work? Can you maintain? Well, inability to maintain your normal routines. Maybe you got a little hungover Thursday night. It wasn't Friday, but you decided to go ahead and drink on Thursday, and you got shit-faced and couldn't make it work that morning. So, hey, I got a lot of sick days. I might as well just call in. I ain't used to them anyhow. But we rationalize in our mind, well, it's okay to do this, and we do it so we can get over our hangover. So, increase and decrease in tolerance. 2 is what we're doing affecting our daily lives, our daily routines. So, are we able to function? Well, that goes along and it gets worse and worse as it progresses, because that calling in once a week is gonna come in to 2 or 3 times a month, and before long you probably forget to even call in. It just progresses along. That is another second thing. Increase or decrease in the physical or the amount that you ingest, and whether or not it's a physical dependency depends on a lot of factors. Your ability to function within your role in your community and society. Uh, can you stop and stay stopped? Well, anybody can stop drinking. I mean, even a drunk after a righteous hangover can commit to not drinking as long as he got to. You let a 7-Eleven not serve alcohol at 11 o'clock or whatever the time is on Sunday because of the blue law at 12 o'clock, and find out how long an alcoholic can do without his alcohol. So can you stop and stay stopped? Well, if you have trouble staying stopped, you've lost control. I mean, that's where it's at. So increase or decrease in tolerance, has it affected you socially in terms of your commitments, work, whether that's work, relationships, any number of things that your community involvement, those kinds of things, any number of things that you do. Have you had legal problems associated with the use of drugs or alcohol? Did you get a DUI on the way home because you ran a stop sign because you were drinking? Or did you black out in your car and end up taking out a sign pole, didn't key, but you got charged for a DUI? So problems with the law, legal issues that occur around your use of the substance. Now, again, we can tie that over a myriad of things, not just alcohol, not just drugs, gambling, finances. Did you find that your bank called you and, hey, we got some overdrafts here? You're spending money you ain't got. Promises to pay that you haven't followed through with. Taking out those payday loans and that kind of thing, because now that you lost all your money or you spent all your money on drugs and alcohol or gambling, now you need money to get you to the next, to make ends meet. So let's go back over the things at this point. Increase or decrease in tolerance as the use of drugs or alcohol affected you in your social obligations and commitments. Have you had any problems with the law associated with your use of substance? Has your use of substance developed to the point now that there are health issues associated with your drinking? Or do you have health issues automatically that were there prior to the drinking or using drugs that are exacerbated by your use of drugs or alcohol? So now we've got health issues involved. Comorbidity factors is what they're called, and they are definitely hallmark signs and symptoms. Now these things are things that you innately know, just like you've got this little monkey on your back after a while that tells you, hey, you need to go drink. Well, there's still something over here that says, man, I might be getting a little bit too overboard with it. That's why we still got this modicum of equilibrium, if you will, in our thinking. And that don't last a long time because, again, addicts use justification, minimizing, just any defense mechanism they can to maintain their addiction. The rational mind and the prefrontal cortex is the part that gets screwed up when you use drugs or alcohol because it affects that. Like, hey, don't sleep with that ugly guy. Or, hey, don't run that stop sign. Hey, don't do this, don't do that. It impedes our ability to think rationally. So those things in and of themselves are the signs that you need to be looking for. Now, the whole point about knowing these things is, well, what can I do to stop it? Well, the way to stop these things from occurring usually require for most addicts, unfortunately, some of those things have to happen, and the majority of clients that come to treatment are forced in through the court because they've gotten to the point that there are legal issues involved, or they've had health issues that put them in the hospital, and the doctors have indicated to them that, hey, you're going to have to do something different. Your liver's pickled. Uh, this ain't helping your gout. This ain't helping this. This ain't helping that. So those two things usually are the, unfortunately, are the things that get people in treatment. Other things that are done are family interventions. Now, family interventions are effective at some point and to some degree of getting an individual into treatment, but it's not really efficient in keeping them there. But interventions, when your family starts talking about, hey, we need to talk about this, you're always gone, we have no money, you didn't pay the bills, you don't spend time with the kids, you don't spend time with me, you're not working, you lost your job, and now we're going to lose our house. If you don't do something different, we're just going to have to, we're going to have to abandon ship because we can't go down with you. And those kinds of things often will prompt someone to seek treatment under the, coercion. Whether or not it lasts that remains to be seen. So those things are things that you need to be looking out for. Again, if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, I would encourage you to think about what you're doing and what is it you can do different to stop this. Well, while you're drinking in your drinking mind or your abusing mind, I ain't real sure, because there's something in the medulla oblongata, some brain part back in the back of your brain where the pleasure center is. Once you use drugs or alcohol, that thing gets kicked on. Oh boy, this feels good. Woo! I'm in there. But the part of the brain that's rational gets turned off, and it's hard to get that part turned back on while you're flooding your body with drugs and alcohol. That part of the brain that where your conscious might come into play. Mama might, therapist might say, what would your mama think if she saw you like this? Or maybe even having mama call and intervene if mama's around. Something that you can find to anchor to that person's moral compass in order to help them reevaluate their behaviors. So those guys are the warning signs and symptoms that you need to look out for, and the time lapse for them, they may be quick. Some people may go 6 months, some people may go a year. Some people are predisposed to alcohol and drugs, and it really doesn't take long at all. I mean, you could start and all of a sudden you can't stop. There are a lot of studies that suggest that there is a genetic predisposition to alcohol. Most folks, by and large, aren't addicted to alcohol. Most folks, by and large, are social drinkers. They can go out, Joe Blow can go to a party and drink 2 or 3 beers on Thursday night. Let's go back to our example. And maybe a couple mixed drinks. Maybe overdo it, get a hangover. Go home, wake up in the morning, got a hangover, man, I'm gonna have to call in. I can't go to work, I gotta call in. And call in. But it's just, man, I can't do this no more. He realizes there, I could lose my job, I could stand to lose my family. All the rational part of the brain is still functioning, and they just don't do it anymore. Go a year, 2 years, 10 years without getting shit-faced again. But the addict is another story. We say that we're not going to do it again. We think that we're not going to do it again. And we even bargain with God, we're not going to do it again. But lo and behold, as soon as the opportunity occurs, well, to the races again. So that's going to lead into another topic about maintenance of sobriety that I don't really want to get into here on this video. I just wanted to cover again the signs and symptoms of warning signs and symptoms of addiction that you need to look out for, whether it's drugs or alcohol, whether it's gambling, whether it's shopaholic, whether it's sex, whatever you're doing to the point that it's causing you unmanageability in your life. You can't manage your life anymore. You can't stop doing what you're doing. You're having problems with the law. You're having problems with your family. You have health problems that are aggravated by the use of alcohol or drugs or whatever behavior, and you're increasing the regularity and frequency and the amount of those things that you're doing. Okay, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll probably talk about maintenance of sobriety in other videos coming up. Thank you.